Guys, it is Kojin here. Today I actually wanted to go ahead and do a bit of a class recap with every single class. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. We'll be going through all 8 of the WonderKing classes, all their ups and their downs, how to burst with them, how to use them currently, just in lieu of the new skills that are coming out on August 21st, so that way that we can understand the differences a little bit better whenever the time actually does come. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It really does break down a lot of the intricate details about each class, and hopefully you guys enjoy for what it all is. Thank you so much for watching, giving so much support to the content, and we'll continue to create really cool things going forward. See ya. Today we're going to be covering a quick topic of burst damage versus DPM. Really, I get this question quite often, so I just wanted to go ahead and just kind of clarify this a little bit. So today I actually wanted to show you guys some charts that I made a while back. The reason why I never released these charts is because there's a new update coming out with new skills and stuff like that, so I never really got the chance to actually put this into effect. So today we're just going to really be looking at the 2 class differences and what they actually mean. So for the biggest thing for a burst class is that normally whenever I say a burst class, I mean a class that does a lot of damage up front, or normally it's backloaded, which means that normally it'll come at the end of your skill cycle, and that's where majority of your damage comes from. So normally in a case like this, where this is the ninja spreadsheet also, by the way, so this is the spreadsheet for all the skills, or all the skills that you would use for a ninja, and I would just ignore this third lane right here. This is something that was totally different. I don't know why it came out like that, but just look at the data set for what we've got here, and you can actually see where the peak damage is for ninja is actually at the top of its burst. Literally the very first skill that it uses is just so absurdly high in damage, and then it drifts all the way down, going down to having some skills doing percent, some doing 4%, but usually the skills, they kind of taper off right around the 6,000 mark, and you can see that literally the percentages of the skills from there literally diminish almost to 66%. As you can see, normally, and this is the thing too, I do want to point this out, is that normally skills that are multi-hit are not normally represented very well in these kind of charts. Normally when it comes to these kind of charts, multi-hit skills are very diminished simply because they're multi-hit skills, so they have more than one hit, and because they have that, their skill percentage normally is lower, but the overall total percentage for the skill normally is a lot higher, and that's the case with every skill. But really, I just use these to kind of show you what the actual overall damage graph sort of looks like. Of course, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it will be close enough for you to understand the concept that I'm trying to get through. So pretty much here, as I was saying, with burst damage skills, you'll see that at the top of the ratio, literally they just do an absurd amount of damage going off top, and then they may have a couple of skills after that to kind of chase that damage up to make it even better. And then by the time they hit their half burst phase, get into their half burst phase, then they kind of like taper off until they charge back up for the whole another 5 minutes to actually get another burst off. Now with DPM classes, this is the Xenocider chart. So as you can see with this class, the burst is not nearly as strong. It's not even close. And that's the funny thing, is because a lot of people thought that Xenocider was one of the best classes pre-rebalance, but when the rebalance came back out with this one, this is what we got. So pretty much at the top here, like we said, only 14,321%, which is really interesting that they picked such an odd number, but whatever, it's regardless of the point. But yeah, this is how the skill damage works in this class. Literally, it starts off really low, and then it never really hits really crazy low, as that makes any sense. So literally, you go from your burst 1 to your burst 2 skill, burst 3, burst 4, and those are all your skills that are gonna have pretty much a 4 or 5 minute cooldown, and then going into your other skills, this is pretty much the damage that you're dealing while you're in that phase of waiting for your burst to get back up, which is huge. Not only to mention that this class specifically can actually double its attack damage off rip just from using the stat. Super easy to play. Like, in my opinion, I really like Xenocider over, I think that it's a better starting class in my opinion, simply because the damage spread is more concentrated into your half burst and your off burst and your 1 second compared to how it is with your other things. So this was just something that was really quick and simple, easy. Hopefully you guys kind of understand the concept. DPM classes, they do a lot of damage in their half burst and off burst phases. In burst classes, they do a lot of damage up front, and they have to deal smaller amounts of damage going into the rest of their skills. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense for you guys. I just really wanted to point out an example. This is just something that was super simple. I don't even think that these graphs will really get released, but they're just simple graphs where they're just showing off each damage skill percentage to show exactly what kind of damage you deal while you're playing the class and what skills do the most damage and whatever. But thank you guys so much. Hopefully you enjoyed enjoyed the video, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. What's going on, you guys? It is Kojin here. Today, we're going to be talking about Beastkeeper and a lot of the recent changes that it's had recently. I know that a lot of people have had questions about the Beastkeeper class, and there's a lot of popularity going around with it in the KR versions. I just really wanted to break down why it's been so popular lately and exactly what's been going on down below. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at all of the new stuff that it has. First things first, we've got ourselves a nice little list here. Pretty much all this stuff here has been adjusted. Everything pretty much has had an adjustment upwards, but the thing that's really important is just finding out exactly how each skill worked and how it all tied together. Now pretty much the fighting phases in WonderKing have been broken down into 3 phases. We've got the burst phase, which is pretty much where you use your strongest skills alongside with your buff skills. Then you have your off burst phase, which pretty much is like your half burst, where you use your second strongest set of skills. And then you also have the ones that are below that. And then you have your 1 second or your off burst, which pretty much are just your filler skills that you will use until your other skills are. I will just kind of break down exactly what all skills get used in what phase and exactly why all the changes matter. Well, the really cool thing about Beastkeeper right now is that it actually has a lot of access to critical rate. Just off base, you get 6 critical rate here, you get like another 10 from a passive, and then you get 10 more from your Beastkeeper form, and you get some extra attack from this. Also, you get a lot of really cool things that have been going on. A lot of the buffs got buffed, things like extra increases to attack and critical damage. I think one of the skills got changed from critical damage to critical rate, so that way that you just straight up get a little bit more critical rate, but it just ends up being a flat bonus that ends up happening with the class. Obviously, the first few things that you're going to do is have all your buffs on. First thing you're going to use is Leaf Shield, either the Sharpshooter, Eagle Spirit, Forest Fairy, then your Beast form. Use those in that specific order, and then you should be able to buffing in a proper manner. Secondly, another thing that you really want to look into is how exactly to start off your burst. You want to start off with the Thunder Eagle Strike, into the Fire Bear Claw, into the Bear Strike, into the Phoenix. Then in your intermediary phase, you want to use Wind Arrow and Storm Arrow. These 2 skills are really important. Usually it's between 10 and 15 seconds, so that way that they come up really quickly. They don't do as much damage, but they really do hold over until you decide to start attacking with your stronger skills again. And then from a base, I did want to mention that with the base skills for the Archer and the Gunner, they have some separated skills that all do work very well. First thing that I want to talk about is Shine Impact. Shine Impact is now 1000 damage. Another one I want to talk about is the Machine Gun. This is visually bugged currently, but it is rumored to be around 550% per hit. Super important. Then one of the other things is the Uplift Shot. This one is a little bit weaker than the Shine Impact, but it does have low cooldowns. You might be able to use those too if you have a high critical rate, and it might benefit for you in the long run. But usually if you are going to use this skill, you might want to go ahead and get the cancel for it as well. That way that you don't spend a lot more time than you need to in between skills. Again, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to actually set up the auto bar and how to actually set up how to fight with him. Just to recap on exactly what we do. First thing, I have the Sharpshooter, Leaf Shield, Thunder Eagle, Forest Fairy, Wolf Spirit, Thunder Eagle Strike, Bear Claw, Grizzly Bear attack, or Phoenix attack. I rather would recommend it be the Phoenix attack first. A little bit more damage up front. Grizzly Bear, Storm Arrow, Wind Arrow, and then your 2 filler skills, which are going to be the Wolf Spirit and then Tempest. This is your setup for whenever you decide to start fighting. I'm going to show you exactly how it's going to work. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. You're going to start off with your buffs. The thing that's really cool about Beastkeeper buffs is that they usually last a while besides the Beast Spirit. You're going to start off with your burst. This usually will give you a really nice startup in damage going into your Bear Claw attack. You just really wait for that to recharge, and then you just hit your 2 Spirit Arrow and Wind Arrow, and then you just filler skill until your skills come back up, which usually they come back pretty quickly, especially if the cooldown runes like I do. Usually just spend your time doing the proper thing and it'll all work out. Thank you so much for watching. This is Kojin. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my quick little Beastkeeper recap. That's just the new skills that are all used in Beastkeeper. I think that in general this is just one of those videos on how to burst with Beastkeeper. I think that it'll help out people whenever they do get this variant of WonderKing in it, or they get this update. And if things do change, we will definitely talk about the NA version, but this will pretty much just be linked to the KR version for what it is. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Is a highly mobile, medium, high damage class focused on setting traps and exploiting enemy movement for fast burst and damage. While attacking, this class drops drastic bombs for more damage automatically, making it an absolute blast to play. This is a one try, one fly kind of class. This class has been on the popularity recently, and it's just something I wanted to talk about for a little bit. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the skill translations real quick. First off, we're just talking about the skills that you're going to need in your first job. Really, you don't need anything besides your first job skill, and even then, this is just to help you level up, but really you just want to make sure that you get the passives. We have got Sharpshooter Spirit, which increases your critical damage by 5, Ocean Wind, which increases your accuracy by 5 at max, and then we have Sharpening Marksmanship, which increases damage by 10% at max level. Also, there are some base job cancel skills, Rapid Fire and Backstep, which for right now we don't need, so we're not going to talk too much about them. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the first job, active skills. We've got Nora Action, rolls forward while shooting, increases invasion while in use, Wild Hunter, Spread Shot, and Hyper Bazooka. These skills, really, in general, are all very powerful, with the strongest being Hyper Bazooka. As you can see, it hits one enemy and it deals damage to the surrounding, making it a really nice option for late game damage and bossing. First job passive skills, we have Sharp Bullet, which increases the power of % at max level, Step Speed, which increases movement speed by 1.0, and then we have Heavy Armor Vest, which increases physical defense by 15%. Boom, boom, boom. Next up, in its second active job, we've got Desperado. Jumps up in the air, shoots wildly down to the ground. Enemies have a chance to be trapped for 3 seconds. Minus 100 movement speed after use. Dry Tornado. Spins quickly in the air, fires wildly at the floor, and drops grenades that explode at the end of the skill. Multi-Puncher. Shoots 4 missiles out of a missile launcher. So a mixture of these two skills, what you really need to know is that you're going to need Desperado and you're going to need Multi-Puncher. But really the biggest thing here are the passives. We got Optical Vision, which increases accuracy and critical rate by +5 at max level. And then we have Elemental Coating, which increases physical defense of the class by % at max level. Crisis Capsule, which drops grenades at a probability while attacking, 50% to drop grenades. Using Crisis Capsule really is the biggest thing here, alongside with Optical Vision. These two passives really are going to make up a good chunk of your damage and also give you a little bit of extra crit rate to give you some luckiness. Now on to the final job. Let's go ahead and talk about the crazy final job that this class has. We've got Ricochet, which is a super armor skill. Multi-hit platforms, very good cooldown. You got the Sniping Shot, which is the sniper shot heard from around the world, by the way. The strongest skill in the game by far at 66,000 damage. It is unbelievable how much damage that skill does. You got the Laser Rifle. We've got Almighty, which is one of my favorite. And then we have Ricochet, which is another one of those low hit multi-hit skills. And then the last hit on this skill in general does a lot of damage. So it's super cool to see. And then there is one last passive here, and that increases its damage by 10% and accuracy by 10% at max level, and we call that Silver Bullet. And that's pretty much all that's about the gunner class that you're going to need to know. So let's go ahead and let's check out the setup here. So like I said before, you always want to set up with your buffs. After you set up your buffs, you're going to go ahead and start off with your burst. Really, it doesn't matter when you hit your the top of your burst with this class, just as long as you're hitting it. There's nothing that's really in a time range that you're going to have to worry too much about. The Grenade Drop passive actually gives you a quick second to actually do what you need to do. So whether you start this at the beginning or the end of your burst with a sniper shot, it should work out totally fine. But in my opinion, what you want to do is try to use those multi-hit skills first and then end off with the sniper skill, so that way that you have more chances to get the grenade off. So you would go Ricochet into your Laser Rifle into Almighty. Honestly, I would do Almighty into Ricochet into Laser Rifle. That seems to be a better combination. Almighty does an absurd amount of damage, and you might as well do that while you're getting a bunch of grenade hits in too. So be super important. So now after you got that all set up, you want to go into your second job skills. You want to do Punch Launcher and Desperado. Then you want to come over into these skills. You want to definitely grab some mobility, grab what skills you need, and then circle back around to your 1 second skills. Definitely just use your final job, and you can use this skill as well. I believe in just using either the first job or the second job skill. You can use whichever one is best for you, but yeah, that's how you do it. So now let's go ahead and let's check out the skills. This is how you use it in skill sequence. First, you're gonna buff 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and you do this until reset. Thank you guys so much. First things first, we're going to go ahead and just hop right into the class specifics. Really, the biggest thing about Xenocider is being the mid-damage slashers. You don't deal a lot of damage in your burst phase. However, outside of the burst phase, you have a lot of utility. You get HP and defense buffs. Not only that, you can have 2 other buffs that raise your attack immensely. In your battle stance, you also do double your damage on your skills, which are super important. So today, we're going to go ahead and just break down exactly what skills you're going to use usually on this class. First things first is the Burning Slash. You're gonna definitely have to invest some points. If you're asking me starting off this class, just go ahead and just get the 1 second skill in the top left hand corner and just deal with that until you get to a later stage. By the time you start to level up in a later stage, you'll definitely come back through here and get this right here. Next up, another thing I wanted to show you guys is the first job. A lot of these skills got changed up. We got Flame Gazer, we've got Dragon Kaiser, Dragon Bite, and the Burning Divide. In general, if you're looking for skill hunting, usually you just want to go for your highest percentage damage skills. Usually it looks like right here, the Dragon Bite is going to be where you're going to be doing majority of your damage and gaining majority of your damage. You get so much damage early on with this class, it's not even funny. The fact that you have access to 2-3 skills over 1,000 damage on your first job is absolutely crazy. It's crazy. That's all I have to say. Like, I can't believe that they gave it this much damage starting off. And then you have your passives. You've got two-handed weapon handling, which increases your critical damage on critical hits. Then your must-have, which is your battlefield composition, which increases your damage output for all party members. That is this skill here. You can actually spread this into other people, which is super cool. They're definitely gonna need this skill if you're gonna be partying up with people. This will definitely be a DPS increaser in general. It's super important. Next up, recommended is the Two Spirits of Fire. This is an attack damage increase, which is, I believe it's this bottom passive here. You can use this skill specifically just to increase your damage passively without needing to buff, but in general, you're still going to be using things like battlefield composition to increase your damage even further. All right, on to our second job skills. I'm going to go ahead and start off with Ifrit Fist. Ifrit Fist is your 1-second skill. Usually this will fling the enemy backwards, but I think they had patched this recently. I'm not too sure if it still does, but from what I understand, they patched it out. It's no longer flinging enemies backwards, so it's just now like a crazy one-hit second skill. Use this to start mobbing. Thing about Xenocider mobbing, it's not too good, but when it comes to bossing performance, it seems to still be up there a lot in the early game, and it will hold its own, especially going into the end game. So I think that it's really cool. We've got Ifrit Fist here, and then we've got Dragon Lightning, which is the second skill here. This one does also some pretty crazy damage. As you can see, there's a bit of a trend with this class where the 1-second skills don't do a whole lot, but the skills come after it do insane amounts. And then the last skill here, we have Blazing Spin, and this is your spin to win skill. Usually this will be doing majority of your damage straight up. It's so insanely powerful, especially when you blend it with Power Stance. Battle Stance increases damage significantly, but lowers physical damage over time. As you start off to use it, you gotta keep using it to keep juicing yourself. This is the double damage. This is the EOE skill. The more you use it, the better off you'll be. As time goes on, you get a little bit weaker. It's still really cool to use. It's pretty much Xenocider's trick skill. I enjoy using it. I think that it's really nice to see that they're using really cool tactics like this in WonderKing. I'm hoping that they continue to delve forward into those nice little tactics that they've built. And then you got your passives here. You got your passive Blood Revenge, which increases your movement speed slightly. Then you have Blood Path, which when you're in the runway state increases your basic attacks and also changes them. Your damage overall output is increased when using those skills. Last thing I wanted to talk about is the final job active skills. All these skills are extremely slow, but they deal really nice damage. This isn't really the case anymore. They kind of nerfed the burst on this class really hard, much to the point so where it's not really considered a burst class anymore. It actually gets a lot of its damage from its skills that are earlier that you can continue to use. Last thing I wanted to talk about are the final job skills. Really, we're just going to start off with its first skill. We've got Dragon's Roar. This is really nice. It's multiple hit platforms, stuns enemies, and decreases speed and jump power for 100% static ignore. Then we've got Draconic Breath. Very powerful, has long horizontal range, hits multiple platforms, staggers enemies, lowers speed by 10%, and gives % status ignore. We've got Dragon's Judgment, which they nerfed this skill. 3 very powerful short hits, short range, and then there's 1 large vertical hit. Next up, we've got Dragon Rush, which is this skill. This is its strongest skill pretty much. Rushes towards the enemy and knocks them upwards. Then we've got Purcell's Pact, which is its 1-second skill. Then you just have its power, which is its Dragon's Bullet, which is its 1 passive over here. Doubles attack power and status abnormality when using Draconic Breath for 10 seconds. But overall, you can see why a lot of people actually really do like this class. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set it up just for you basic Xenocider users. First things first, you're going to go ahead and get your first buff. Always put your buffs up first. Then from there, you're going to go ahead and grab onto your burst skills. Normally, I like to grab the top 2 first because they combo together really well. If you're looking to get a lot of damage out immediately, you might want to put those at the end, and then you want to start off with your stronger 2. Now, after you got that set up, you're going to go into your third job skills, second job skills, then into your second job skills, first job skills, then you grab Flame Strike, your 1-second skills, and you're good to go. This is what Xenocider uses to attack fully. Now to show off the burst cycle. Start off with your buffs. I love the animations to this class. They're so epic. This right here is just super awesome. You can't beat this. It's super cool just to see how it all works and how it exists together. It's all super cohesive too. You normally get your high damage skills back really often, pretty fast. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Temple Knight is a highly defensive knight physical class in WonderKing with its ability to hold off massive hordes of enemies at once while dealing medium damage to enemies. It makes for a very unique fighting experience and definitely one for the books. It is a defense and HP based class. It's a really high popularity class, mostly used for its defense and HP class buffs and high end parties and decent solo capabilities. So we're going to go ahead and kind of break down what's so good about this class and what's going on with it. So let's start off with the base job swordsman skills. Really, when it comes to these later on, a lot of these don't matter. So if you can possibly just skip this whole page, most of the time in order to make this happen, you will just have to get the skill reset. But the most important thing to get here are the passives. So let's go ahead and let's talk about those. You get an armory mastery, which raises defense by 1% per level. You also get a block button, which is the one that I actually don't have, but it's this top one right here. You should definitely get this at a later game because you can block off damage and stuff like that, and it may become one of the biggest potential things to have in PvP alongside with a lot of the first job skills, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. Right now we're talking about PvP. But yeah, you can go ahead and get the block skill. This is one of those skills that are really good. Next up, you get weapon mastery, which increases your physical strength. It doesn't say by a specified amount even to this day, so hopefully we get an answer to that one. And then last but not least, we get power up, which is a self buff, which increases your max HP by 2% per level, which is this one right here. So pretty much out of all these, you get one standard buff and then you get 2 passive buffs. The rest of the skills for right now, I wouldn't want to concern myself with. We're going to go ahead and go into the first job skills. These are the knight skills. Shield rush require you to use a shield to move. So in order for you to use shield rush, you actually need to have a shield on. You can get one from the NPC. There aren't many choices at the moment, but just go ahead and get one from the NPC and you should be fine. Then you have lightning spear, which shoots lightning spears towards the enemy. Chance to be blocked, chance to be shocked, increase with level. Next up, you have cross cutter. As you level it up, the size increases with skill level. And then you also have exceed blade, which also increases in its size with skill level. That's one thing I did want to note with the Temple Knight skills alongside with the Xenocider skills is as you level them up, a lot of them do increase in size as you level them up. So it becomes really important to get max size on a lot of these skills. As you can see here, this is the spread that I would recommend. Really just get 10 so that way you can unlock the rest of your skills, and you will need to put 10 skill points into the next skill to get the next one. High priority is shield crash. You absolutely need this. Does tons of damage off right. Even though it is just a one hit skill, when you land crits with it, it does amazing damage. So it is super important to have. It could save you a lot of time in the long run and definitely would look out for it. Next up, we got passives. We got the shield mastery, which increases your defense by 40% at max level. And then you also have confession, which consumes HP to recover MP continuously. I really wouldn't mess around too much with that one. Then we have our cancel skills for lightning spear, exceed blade, and shield rush. Definitely would get the ones for shield rush and lightning spear. If you need the one for exceed blade, why not? Go ahead and throw that in there too. Now let's look at our second job active skills. The most important one that we are looking for here is lightning bringer. Summons sword. Lightning bringer summons lightning style sword to use basic attack to use, increases attack power, critical rate, and basic power of attacks for 45 seconds. Super important. We're going to go ahead and show it off here. That's what this is here. Next up, we've got overdriver. Thrust forward with a flurry of attacks with a chance to stun. Costs 199 HP to use and 100% physical defense upon use, which is this skill here. It looks like as it goes, it's big chillin'. But the other skill that you're really going to be looking forward to is Shining Stardust. Must use Lightning Bringer to use. They actually changed this, so you can actually just spam the skill now. But if you do use it with Lightning Bringer on, it does increase damage. Second strongest move that Paladin gets, you get actually in your second job, which is really important to see. Then we got the second job passive, which is God's Protection. Increases the defense for the whole party for 20%. We have God's Blessing, which increases the HP for the whole party. Then we have Auto Guard, which increases the probability of chances of blocking enemy attacks automatically, which also is super important. So definitely go ahead and get that in there too. Last but not least is the two final job skills. We have Guardian's Call, which is his ultimate. As you can see, it does a lot of damage, something that you want to keep your eyes out for. And then you have Stewbringer, which is Stormbringer, which is just the Sword Storm, the awesome skill that I absolutely love about this class. Also, fun fact, this is the strongest 1 second skill in the game. So this is something that you want to definitely keep your eyes out for when it comes to off burst damage. This is a potential damage bringer in the long run, especially if you can get a Temple Knight with some crit rate. Next up, we have the passive skills. Awaken, which increases the critical rate by 5 max level. Awaken increases the critical rate by 5 at max level. Then we have Shield of Will. Summon shield in front of the defenders, reducing incoming damage and increasing stamina. Paladin's Power, which removes your stamina, recovers your stamina, excuse me. And then you have Holy Brand, which leaves a brand on enemies, lowering their defenses by 20 seconds. So as you can tell by this kit, literally there's so much stuff that goes into this class, and it's just crazy to see that this is one of the biggest defender classes in the game. And with Holy Brand, it practically doubles your damage almost every single time that it's in use. And it looks like it only has about a 60-second cooldown. I think it's even less than that. So you can do it very, very often. And if you sync this up with the burst of other classes, it becomes really, really cool to see. So I do want to go ahead and show off how to set up this class. Like I always say, burst first. But before you set up your burst, you definitely want to go ahead and put on all of your skills that you're going to be using. So for our passives, obviously we've got God's Protection, we've got all of our shields, we've got our recoveries and everything like that. And then we've got Holy Brand here at the end. So as soon as we put Holy Brand on there, we're going to pair that with our ult, and then we're going to go into our third job skills. We're going to bring out Shining Stardust. Right after Shining Stardust, we're going to go into our first job skills. We're going to bring out Shield Crash, Exceed Blade, Lightning Shot, and then we're going to circle back around to our 1 second skill. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how it works out. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this is the thing about 11 is that you're pretty much going to be using this until your shield crash comes back up, and then you'll boom back into your shield crash, DPM out, back into Stormbringer, shield, boom, 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 boom. Or if you get super lazy, you definitely can bring out Lightning Bringer. Of course, we always love the Lightning Bringer. This is supposed to be on the bar too. I totally forgot to put it on there. Make sure you bring out Lightning Bringer. You can use this skill to cancel attack just by holding it down and pressing the dash buttons from left to right. The more that you press it left to right, the more attacks you get off. So it's kind of really nice to have. It's a super nice tech, but most people usually just play lazy and just use the 1 second skill because it's so strong on itself. But yeah, that's pretty much how you play Temple Knight. Just a lot of really cool things about it. Like I said, it's got HP and defense buffs for the whole party and a Holy Brand that pretty much lowers the damage enough for the boss for everybody to do some damage to it. So we need to keep an eye out for that. But thank you guys so much. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. I'll check you guys out on the next one. Check out the WonderKing Reddit and Discord. See ya. All right, let's talk about Dark Lord today, people. Dark Lord is the assassin class in WonderKing. This is the critical rate monster. This is the class that is the easiest funded and also one of the easiest classes to cycle and get into, but it does struggle in some departments. Don't think that it's all good and it's all cakes and rainbows. Let's go ahead and let's get into the main reasons why I say that. So first things first, we're going to get into its base active skills. Really, you just got to worry about the ones on the left side. If you are going to be using daggers, these are going to be the skills that you use. Out of these skills, really, you're going to be using the bottom two. Out of those two skills, you definitely want to be looking and considering the cross slash. Cross slash definitely does carry a lot of damage into it, but if you're just starting to play the game, just go ahead and invest into your 1 second skill. The 1 second skill always carries, so don't worry about what your actual build is. Just go ahead and get yourself the 1 second skill for safety and then explore from there. Next up, we're going to go ahead and talk about the base class skills and the base class passives. We've got Sheep Eye, which raises evasion by 5% at max level. Then we have Deadly Moves, which increases dead damage by 50. We have Deadly Moves, which raises damage by 5% at max level. Then we have Fast Movement, raises movement speed by 0.5 at max level. And then you have a handful of cancel skills for Spinning Kick and Sharp Sting. I really wouldn't worry too much about those at the moment, but in general, they're really, really nice. We're really just talking about this first page. I don't know why I was clicked into my second page here, but really that's what we're just talking about here. You want to go ahead and invest into those top 3 passives that we talked about to get those extra passives off. And then the last 2 are just cancel skills. So I wouldn't really worry too much about those. Now onto our first job active skills. We have Xenocider, or what was called Reaper's Call back in the day. It's now like the 1 second skill. You can spam the skill. It's actually super nice. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it looks here. It's really solid here. You actually get really good range, and it's really, really solid for what you get out of it. Nice little mobbing skill until you get your final damage mobbing skill. You've got Combination Cutting, cuts twice through the air, Thrust Review, stab enemies multiple times, Death Bite, and that's pretty much going to be your kit for this first job. Really, when you're looking at this skill setup, one thing that you really got to note is the amount of damage that you get from this class in general isn't super high until you get to the last skill here, which I believe this is Death Bite. Death Bite is super good on this class. It's a one-hit skill, but it does its job when it comes to hitting criticals. When you hit a critical with it, it does some immense damage. So let's go ahead and showcase that. Really, like I said, it's just a quick slash, nothing too crazy. Now onto the passives. You got a counterattack, certain chance to reflect damage back to the enemy. I would recommend unlocking this right around 230, but this is that skill. You would definitely want to invent into that. Next up, you have Taunt, which is to provoke enemies. That is this skill here. This will be real nice for later on whenever you are starting to mob. It'll bring all the enemies towards you and make it a lot easier. And then you have your forward step, which is just your dash forward. Also not a bad idea to invest into, especially if you are going with the PvP setup. Now you have some other ones for your cancel skills. You got Death Bite, forward step, and Combination Cutting. I do recommend getting all 3 of those cancel passive skills. Definitely going to be real good for you. Next up, we have second job active Joker. There's not really a whole lot to say here. Really, you just get one of your most powerful skills, Shadow Dance. which pretty much will carry you for the longest time. It's so strong. I'm so happy that this class has gotten a buff with this skill, and this is pretty much what's going to carry this class for the longest time. It really does need it. It's one of those things where without it, it just doesn't do nearly as much justice. But I will continue to talk about its passives because that's really what makes this class one of the best in general. So let's go ahead and break down its passives. A Black Mist, which increases your critical rate by 1% for 4 seconds at max level. After that, you've got Mobility, which increases your movement. Next up, you've got Mobility, which increases your movement speed. Next, you have Deadly Poison, which increases your defense by 1. Blade of Death, which increases your attack by 5% at max level. Those skills in general pretty much will carry you when it comes to damage, and also you get 20% critical rate, and you're just getting started with the critical rate buffs with this class right before you get into your active skills, like I said, which we had already done before. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the final job skills. Now when your final job skills, look at it, you only get a handful of skills, but they all do really nice damage, and we're going to go ahead and break down and explain how your passives work and what makes them super OP. First, you've got Poison Strike. This one deals your 1 second skill. This is what is your mobbing skill. It's not super great, but it does do what it needs to do when it comes to it, and this is the only 1 second skill that you can actually use in the air in the whole game, and one of the only few skills you can use in the air, so it is really important to take use of that. When you use this in the air, it seems like the hitbox is a bit better. Next up, you have got Eclipse, which unleashes flurry of attacks when the last hit is strong. And then you also have Cotton, which is a super armor skill, which is this skill here. And these two skills in general do some really crazy damage when mixed together. But really, we're going to go ahead and get into the passives here. You have Stealth, which gives you 100% critical rate, 50% critical damage, and increases invasion by an unspecified amount, increases movement speed by 10%, jump power by 5% for 100 seconds. This is a huge game changer for this class. That is this top skill here. It has a bunch of skills and a bunch of stuff attached to it. That stealth skill in general is massive. And then you have the Ruler's Power, which increases critical damage by 25%, accuracy by 5%, and critical rate by 10% at max level, which is this. So you just get access to a bunch of critical rate, bunch of crit damage, and you also have to check out what the change did for this skill here. It actually increases your critical damage by 1.5 times your overall stat, which makes it super crazy. So whenever you drop this skill alongside of your critical rate miss skill, you go absolutely bonkers when it comes to damage, because you just have so many critical rates popping off at the same time. It just ends up looking crazy. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to set up this class. First off, you're going to go ahead and put your passives in. Usually I like to put this passive more towards the end because it's really short-lived alongside with the critical mist, and then we'll pretty much keep these two like how they are in the front. And then you're going to go into your ultimate skills, into Mirage Strike, into Combination Cutting, into Pierce. Honestly, the Pierce might go a bit better after Combination Strikes, into Counter Strike, into Reaper's Call. So let's go ahead and check out how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little tutorial, and I will see you on the next one. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, check out the WonderKing Reddit, check out the WonderKing Discord. Looks like the WonderKing North American version should be on the way soon. No confirmation yet, but as the news comes out, we will definitely make more news about it. Thank you, and stay tuned. Peace. Ninja Master is a class that prides itself on the ability to slow down enemies, also having a naturally high evasion. Using this natural movement speed and skills that constantly hit multiple platforms make Ninja the most desired and easy to play classes. Due to its natural class feature, this makes it one of the most played classes in WonderKing. Let's see what the hype is about. When it comes to its basic job skills, really the two that you're going to be looking at are Sand Attack and Sharp Sting. These two really are just going to be small filler skills until you get what you need. You will need to put 5 points into these two skills here to get access to these. One of those is a 1 second skill, which more than likely you will end up using, but by the time you get to end game, these become more important. Then you have your passives. Let's go ahead and talk about those for a second. We have Sharp Eye, which increases your evasion for 5% at max level. Deadly Moves, which increases your damage by 5% at max level. Fast Movement, which raises movement speed by 0.5 at max level. Then you have your cancel skills for Spinning Kick and Sharp Sting, which are these two at the bottom here. Let's talk about the actual ninja skills here. So with this here, we have Hop Key Rampage, Bomb Shuriken, Huang Gu's Spell, and Fun Manager. So what I understand, Hop Key Rampage is your 1 second skill. Bomb Shuriken, this becomes a really important skill later. We got Fire Breath, which is called Fun Manager for some reason. And then we've got Bomb Shuriken, which is this as well. This class also has access to a backstep and an evasion mist. These can become really valuable later on. If bosses do too much damage to you, using a combination of those two skills should be able to get you away pretty quickly. On to the second job skills. We have Insuchiap, Martial Arts, which increases your movement speed by 10% per level. And then we have Insuchion, Nimbyup, which increases damage by 20% at max level. The two active skills that you see are Equal Heat Wave Degree, Fire Toad Transformation, and Full Leak. In order to use Full Leak, you will need to use Shadow Creation. Shadow Creation creates a shadow behind your character. Every shadow behind you increases your damage by 4 per shadow at max level. When using that alongside the passive 2 shadows, it increases the shadows to 2, increasing your damage to 40 to 80%. Alongside those two, you get another active passive that you can use called Returning the Big Sword. When hit by an enemy, there's a chance a sword will cut through the enemy at a 15% chance per max level. Its final job skills. We have King Bing Shuriken, which is your 1-second skill. You have Silver Shadow Attack, which is the skill that follows that. Fine Dragon's Art, which is the skill in the bottom right. And Devastating Heat Wave, which is the skill in the top right. These 3 skills are extremely powerful, and when used in tandem, create devastating damages to bosses and people going forward. Next up are its 2 passives. Tome of Agility, which raises its evasion by 20 points, and Book of Vision, which gives it movement speed increase, 3% jump power, 5% evasion, and plus 15 critical rate. Now we're going to go ahead and show you how to set them up. First things first, always be sure to grab your passives. In this case, really you only have the 2 that are presented in your second job setup. After that, line up your bursts accordingly, starting with your strongest skill all the way down to your weakest skill. Now to set up your intermediary phase. Now that you have Shadow Creation up, be sure to use Full Leak, and after Full Leak, send it into Equal Heat Wave Degree. Now let's set up our off burst. Be sure to grab Rasengan and Shuriken Throw. Last but not least, Sand Attack, Sharp Sting, if necessary. Most of the time, most people do not use those 2 skills, but they are optional. And then to finish it off, Toad Transformation, Kyugong Shuriken. This is how you use the Shadow Attackers class in WonderKing. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and repeat until skills come back up. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to check out the WonderKing Reddit, WonderKing Discords, and more. Thank you, and have a good day.
Hello, I am Creator.
I actually really enjoy this class. It's one of my favorite classes. I know that I say that about like every other class in this game because a lot of them really do feel nice and well, but I do want to go ahead and kind of break down what's going on here. We've got our base jobs here. We've got Shooting Star, Ignition, Fire Pillar, Ice Missile, Lightning Shock, Tape Flash, Barrier Force, and those are the name of all the skills that do damage right here on the far left hand side. And then here in the middle with this passive line, we have a few skills. We have got Power, which increases attack. We've got Magic Sense, which increases your mana points for a short period of time. We have got Mantle Training, which increases mana recovery. And then we've got Magic Cloak, which increases mana and increases it into an HP shield. Incoming damage is taken by mana before your first HP. So it's somewhat of a mana shield pretty much. Next up, we've got Volcanic Blocker for its first skill and its first job. Really, with the base jobs, just be sure to get these far right passives. And if you need it, just get your 1-second skill. The rest of the skills are not super worth it. As far as investment, none of them really get super strong later on. So let's go ahead and get into the first job skills here. We've got Volcanic Blocker, which summons a small volcano spewing molten rocks at enemies. A number of eruptions increases by level. So if you get this to level 15, you get 12 hits out of that volcano, which is pretty crazy. It actually becomes really nice later on. And then on top of that, we've got Lightning Bolt, which summons a lightning bolt in the sky, and then lightning strikes increase with skill level. So it is important that you get both of those skills maxed ASAP. Really, these are bossing skills, and I really wouldn't recommend using these out in the field at any point in time. But as soon as you get to bossing, definitely look at those 2 skills. But outside of that, I would just level up the 1-second skill until I get to way late game, and then I would circle back around to maxing out these skills. Really, I would definitely try to get the summon skill first, and then circle back around to the volcano later, but definitely get these skills. Onto the passives, we've got Magician Mastery, which increases damage by 10%. Magician Mastery 2, which increases damage by 20%. We have Magic Power Expansion, which increases damage 30% at max level, which are these top 3 skills. That's just telling you how much damage they gave this class passively. And then you have the Teleport and Magic Strike, which increases critical damage by 30%. So this bottom one is huge. Next up, we've got the Meteor. The Meteor is so important to this class. I just gotta say that right now. Alongside with Thunder, this skill also is very important. As you can see, these 2 skills do an absurd amount of damage, and they're not final job skills, so they don't take 5 minutes to charge up. I think the cooldown is like something like 45 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. And then you have the Psionic Eye or Darkness Eye, which creates creates a black hole and explodes. It used to be the most powerful skill, but really, as you compare to other two, this is kind of one of the weaker ones. Honestly, this class could do without it because of how its load times are at the moment. Now we've got our passive skills. We've got Magic One Way, which increases magic attack power by 40% for 54 seconds. And I'm not too sure what this does. Hold on, let me see if I can get it in the translator real quick. Summons Agnes to create a swamp of darkness around you for a set period of time. Enemies entering the swamp will have their movement speed significantly slowered. The range and duration of the area increase depending on the level. Okay, so this is pretty much like a mud trap. Okay, I kind of like that. That's kind of nice. What is this skill called? Agnes's Swamp. Get out of my swamp! Anyways, on to our final job skills. First things first, we've got Prominence, which is the giant fire tornado. Huge, big damage skill. They nerfed it recently, but it's still relatively nice. Next up, we've got Lightning Vortex, which is the skill here. Big damage, big damage. We gotta always be sure to have that on. Next up, we've got Ice Shatter. This skill used to be really bad, but then they buffed it. And then last but not least, we've got Elemental Burst. So if you can tell, these three skills right here do a lot. And because this skill's a multi-hit, it just got a huge damage nerf. But in general, it's still totally fine. And then last but not least, we have Elemental Ruler, which increases the damage by at max level. So just going through the list, you can see exactly why people love this class so much. It really just has so much damage that it gets by the time you hit its second job. By the time it hits its third job, you know, the burst isn't super important, but the burst in itself kind of holds up. It has 4 really important parts, and all of them really do nice damage. It all just works out so cohesively for this class. I really do enjoy sitting and being able to sit down and play this class in general. So right now we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you how the cycle works. We're going to go ahead and throw out our buffs, and then we go into Elemental Burst, into Prominence, which is a summon skill, so it won't summon here, into Ice Shatter, into Lightning Storm, into Darkness Eye, into Lightning Smash, into Meteor, and then into your 1-second skills. There's 2 separate builds. I'm not using the Volcano build, so we're not going to cover that in this video. But yeah, that's pretty much how you play this class. You guys, it's Gojin here. Today we are playing on
Safety,
which is my Cardinal. Usually I like this Cardinal whenever I'm bossing and, you know, just kind of having a good old time, just trying to have a little bit of a challenging fun. But really, I just wanted to break the class down real quick. Let's go ahead and let's just start from the first job. Really, you don't need anything from here. I guess you could really, you know, use these little passive buffs. This will definitely probably help you out, right? These are damage. These are damage. You need to go ahead and put those on your character. All right, next up, as you can see, you're going to need this because that's damage skill. This gives you movement speed. This gives you some extra damage and critical rate. This is an attack buff. These you don't really need like that. This you don't really need, but it's a heal skill. This is a shield skill just in case it gets out of hand. This is the other damage skill. This also is a damage skill. This gives you critical damage. And then on the last job, you got your final job skill. Of course, you want to put some damage into that. Get EXP, more critical damage. Or actually, I think one of them got changed to critical rate. And then we get EXP gain and some other really cool stuff. But yeah, this class is so straightforward and simple. Nothing really too much to worry about besides buffing the party and then the occasional shield to keep everybody from dying, which is probably my favorite part about the whole class. Like, this right here is just more than enough for me to be excited about it. But outside of that, this is how it works. Really, you just got a ton of buffs, and then you got your 3 skills if you're strong enough to actually do something to the boss. But this is pretty much what its buff sequence looks like. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T-U-V-U-I. Still not done buffing. This is crazy. All right, can we get the last one on there or no? It's not letting me put the last one on, chat. And it don't matter. We already know it's just another buff. Anyways, y'all, that's pretty much the Cardinal thing. It's not too crazy. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of stuff. We'll continue to do really intricate details and videos that are really into every single class as time goes forward. As time goes on with the new skill changes, we'll definitely check that out. Hopefully we'll get a lot of good information coming out of that. Also, don't forget to check out the WonderKing Reddit. WonderKing Discord is also down below. We'll be sure to link all the sources down below. Thank you to the WonderKing Guide team for helping me out with all the information. Most of this information is on Reddit. If you don't already know, go ahead and check out what's going on over there and just see what all is happening with the class that you are playing or the class that you're interested in. Maybe there's some changes that you are interested in that may just be the icing on the cake for you, or maybe you might want to change it up this season. But Are you excited for WonderKing North America? Because I sure am. Hopefully we will see some of these changes in the upcoming game coming to us. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one.